In the fifth round of the 2023 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks took Olusegun Oluwatimi, a center out of Michigan. And yes, that is going to be the only time that I truly attempt to pronounce that whole name at once. My goodness. But this kid is a great player. And absolutely, this is a phenomenal pick for our Seattle Seahawks. One that just has me so hyped up. I feel like this might be my favorite pick of the draft. And the fifth round very well may be my favorite round of the entire draft for where the Seahawks really were able to produce value in their picks. And to understand what I like about Oluwatimi, we first have to backtrack a little bit here into the foundations of this offensive scheme. For years here, under even going all the way back to Mike Holmgren and certainly with Coach Carroll, the Seahawks have tended to favor the bigger sized offensive linemen. Long, big, strong, guys that can just push guys off the ball. We talked about this in the Anthony Bradford video. So now we've made more of a transition now to Shane Waldron coming aboard the last couple of years. And it's been a slow transition going away from that old style of lineman to the new. But what you're favoring now is that mobility over necessarily that drive blocking ability that we tend to look for in offensive linemen. And this really boils down to a 4 set of skills that all of your linemen are going to be asked to have to do. It starts with, first and foremost, the reach block. Now, historically speaking, as an offensive lineman, when you tend to get down in your stance, the guy right straight across from you is the guy that you're going to tend to block. This is how it's always worked. Well, in this type of scheme, what you're going to almost more often see at times is you're going to see linemen going to the block laterally one way or the other to a guy that you wouldn't necessarily think that would be blocked prior to the play. And this establishes to the defense a little bit of confusion as to where offensive linemen are necessarily going post-snap. It's a little bit less predictable. It also creates a numbers game to one side of the field if you block it upright, where you got one extra blocker, they have one less defender, and your ball carrier has that much more of a potential opportunity to go hit home runs. We saw the Rams with Todd Gurley really take advantage of this when they had their offense truly rolling a couple of years ago. So you need those guys that can get out of their stance, get lateral, and get to the block. It's not as much about pushing that guy off the line at that point. It's as much about riding him, using his leverage and momentum against him to then push him out of the play with that use. That's what you're trying to accomplish. And the Seahawks are going to look for that now in their linemen. This is something that Oluwatimi can do very good, of course. The other aspects that you need him to do is get down to the second level, get to those linebackers, hit those blocks. It's absolutely a foundational point. And then there's 2 different types of pulls. There's the pull back across the formation to lay those wham blocks, or there's the pulling out in front, leading the way for the ball carrier. All 4 of these things have to be things that the offensive linemen are able to do on this offensive line in this scheme, or you're not able to use the totality of the playbook. This has been one of the reasons why, if you look over the last couple of years of the Seahawks offense, first, let's say a McVay style of offense, you don't see a lot of the traditional screen game to the running back. You don't see a lot of bubble screens, not as much fly sweep, not as much pitch plays, not as much working things lateral, because you don't have the offensive linemen to get lateral in space. They just can't get to those blocks in time, and so those plays got neutralized, and so those plays got torn out of the playbook. I know I'm going all the way around the world to get back to Oluwatimi here, but here is how he fits in now, because you're bringing in a center who does all of that stuff really well. This guy dropped in the draft because his testing scores were not good. He looks a little limited if you even look at his testing scores. But this is the Rimington Award winner. He has the pedigree. He has played many years in college football. He is very seasoned. He knows what he needs to do, snap in and snap out, and he gets his job done. Beyond the testing scores, he shows off the ability to move in space, and he shows it off play after play. There were so many centers in this recent draft who would just look completely lost the second that you get them 2 yards up the football field. So many of those phone booth centers who are really only comfortable when they're going to have to double team another player. Oluwatimi was doing some of the double team stuff, but not anywhere near to the same degree as those other players. And a lot of times he's being asked to one-on-one, be it a linebacker down, coming down at the second level, or hitting a reach block over to a defensive end to his left, or getting over to the one tech over to his right. He was doing it over and over and over again on tape. But let's not take my word for it. Let's dive on into the tape on this one, because I want to show you truly what this kid can do. I've already spoken about Oluwatimi's ability to move in space, and over the next few plays, you're certainly going to see more evidence of that. But what I want to highlight now over these next couple of cut-ups is Oluwatimi's intelligence, his ability to think quickly on his feet, his knowledge and use of technique, and his craftiness as a player are, in my opinion, elite. Where will that place him as a player at the pro level, given the fact that he's missing the dominant physical traits that usually one needs to become elite? That's, to me, where this will become an interesting case study, if nothing else. Now, on this first play, Oluwatimi has two duties in one. He must first land a combo block on the 3 technique, helping out his left guard, and then he's got to get down to the second level. When you give an offensive lineman 2 assignments on one play, they'll oftentimes end up choosing just to get one of the assignments done well, perhaps in fear of messing up if they try to get both of them done. Here, Oluwatimi has to lay a solid initial combo block as the play is going to go right behind his backside. Oluwatimi gets the hole initially opened, but as he starts down to the second level, he's got a big problem. 2 defenders are shoulder to shoulder, rallying down into the box, into the A-gap. His A-gap. Oluwatimi targets the safety with inside leverage, lands his block, shields him off from the running back, and then throws the safety into the linebacker, effectively deleting both from the play and helping to spark a big run. 3 guys blocked in one play. Not bad. On this next play, you're going to see exactly the type of reach block that the Seattle Seahawks are going to require Oluwatimi to pull off in their very scheme. And what he's going to have to do here is come off the blocks and get to the 3 tech. Now, the Michigan Wolverines are doing this so they're able to pull their left guard, 77, back across the formation, because this play is indeed going to be going to the strong side of the formation or to your right. So what Oluwatimi has to do here with this block is not drive the man off the ball. What he's got to do is get into proper position, be quick off the snap, and then shield block him and keep him away from driving to the running back on the backside of the play. It's not as hard a degree of difficulty necessarily as far as having to just blast a guy off the line of scrimmage, but it is a difficult block because he's got to reach it in space. And because he is able to hit that block and 77 is able to pull out in front, the Michigan Wolverines are able to get a first down. Another place where Oluwatimi's intelligence really shows up is in pass pro, and specifically when he's dealing with stunters and twisters. And you'll see it on this particular play, where off the snap, he's initially picking up the defensive tackle one-on-one, handling his block, but then him and his right guard really seamlessly hand off their players as it's a late twist in this play, and they have no problem with it. You see this with Oluwatimi on his tape over and over again. How about another Oluwatimi special? 3 guys blocked, 1 play. He starts out here initially on the 0 tech with his left guard, gets that block cemented, peels down to the second level, sees the linebacker rallying up, but he also happens to notice that there's a safety behind that linebacker, and he says, why not? Drives that linebacker right back into the safety, eliminates both of the 2 players on the play, and the Michigan Wolverines get themselves a first down. On this play, we're going to get a combo block, which will lead to a second level block, which will then lead to a touchdown. And what I love from Oluwatimi on this play is his intelligence, awareness, and just general feel throughout the whole course of the play. First, off of the snap, he's got to help out his left guard on the 0 tech. And the left guard's got a tall task here. He's got to hit his reach block on the 0 tech at the point of attack where the play is going to go. Oluwatimi seems to understand this and hangs for an extra beat in on that combo block before he then peels off to the second level to eventually pick up the defensive back and spring the touchdown. If Oluwatimi is a little too early in getting off that 0 tech on this block, the defensive tackle gets into the backfield and makes the play. If he's too late off of the 0 tech, the defensive back comes up and then he makes the play. But because Oluwatimi times both perfectly, it's a touchdown. On this play, Oluwatimi is going to show off those quick reaction skills that I see all over his tape. He has to here post-snap, get over and help out on a double-team block on the 3 tech with the left guard. But he quickly picks up post-snap, the middle linebacker coming into blitz. You can really see on this play as I run it in slow motion that he was supposed to initially head and pick up that 3 tech, but he quickly adjusts, quickly picks up the middle linebacker like it's no problem whatsoever. On this play, Oluwatimi displays a technique that has become very much in vogue in the NFL. Trent Williams in particular has absolutely mastered it. It's the old pull the chair out from under the defensive tackle move. You see this in basketball oftentimes with players down in the paint, a player posting up another player, and the defending post player just suddenly gives his weight away, essentially backs up as the offensive player is trying to back him down, and the offensive player ends up on his butt. Well, it's the same kind of principle being applied here on the football field. The 0 tech here off of the snap gets really right into Oluwatimi's chest. He's trying to overpower him. Rather than Oluwatimi matching that power, he just essentially gives way, and the defensive tackle ends up falling over onto his face. Oluwatimi adds a little bit of extra measure of pain on top of this play for the defensive tackle than just landing on top of his own body. But it is a beautiful little bit of technique that you can utilize. You've got to set it up. It's not just something you can do on every single play, but if you set a player up right, and if you are a technician like Oluwatimi is, it can work out just right. On this play, we've got another big run sparked by Oluwatimi, and a lot of subtlety again being used on top of a great, just pure second level block. What I really like about this off the snap is this one arm that he just puts into the one tech to push him a little bit more out of the hole, pushing that one tech out into a different gap. Then he gets down to the second level seamlessly. It's very easy on this play to miss him getting that little bit of a hit there in on that one tech, but he does do it. It's another play where he's getting both of the two tasks that he is being assigned here done, and done correctly and done well, and helping to spark that big run. Does Oluwatimi have the prerequisite strength and power to hold up at the NFL level? Well, I do believe he does, and I'm going to try to show you some proof of that over these next couple of plays. First here, he's going to be matched up against Lucas Van Ness. Van Ness was a first-round pick in this prior draft, a guy that's going to play on the edge at the NFL level, but a guy that is expected to be kicked in from time to time into the inside, as Iowa State would try to use him from time to time. And here off of this first snap, he's aligned in a zero-tech alignment across from Oluwatimi. Oluwatimi off the snap easily roots him right out of the hole, gets him shielded off in the play, no problem, one-on-one. Then he comes back a couple of plays later, again matched up with Van Ness one-on-one, and again pushes him right on up out of the hole. And how about a third play here? Again matched up with Van Ness, again a one-on-one block, and again having no problem getting him up out the hole. Well, I guess the Iowa State coaches got a little tired of Oluwatimi giving Van Ness the business, so they put a pure zero tech down there across from Oluwatimi. And once again, over a couple of plays here that I'm going to show you, he easily again roots that zero tech right on up out of the A gap, one-on-one, needing no help. He's got the strength. He's got the power. When an NFL team drafts a skill set that is a pure fit for the schematics and designs of what they're trying to accomplish on a football field, that's how you get the most out of a given playbook. And beyond that, that's how you also get the most out of a given player, as opposed to having to constantly work around their weaknesses as you force fit and jam them into a scheme that they don't exactly work within. But make no mistake about it, Oluwatimi works perfectly within this scheme. Whatever you want him to do on a football field as a center in this given offense, he can accomplish. I know he didn't test very well. I know there were other centers in this draft who had better athletic profiles. But when you just turned on the tape purely, there was not a better center fit in this draft as far as his skill set for what Oluwatimi brings to play and to bear on the football field, and will bring it, I believe, very quickly. So yes, it's in the 5th round, but for me, I had a much higher grade on him because he was so pure as a fit. There's a lot of centers out there that might have that great athletic profile, but then when you turn on the tape, they look uncomfortable moving in space. They're constantly losing their feet. They're rarely getting out there to land the block. They can't hit a reach block for their life, go down the line. This guy, it's the complete opposite. He's getting it done snap after snap after snap. My fellow 12s, you're going to love this player. I think he's going to be playing here for a very long period of time as a starter, and I think he even has a good chance to start even day one. I know Evan Brown is sort of penciled in, but this kid is going to be very impressive for the coaches, a Remington Award winner in college. He's played a lot of football games. He's very seasoned. He's very ready to roll, and he's going to help to take this offense up to the next level. So get very excited by this draft, myself, fellow Seahawks fans. It's not often when you get a stalwart starter at the center position in the 5th round. And that's just at the end of things here. That ain't even where the real prime parts of this draft are at as far as what we talk about. My name is Brandon Kane. This is the Hawks Nest. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. But beyond all that, don't you ever forget. Go Hawks.